and happy Friday. Welcome to the Pitch Light Chronicles. I'm Uncle Tats. I'm here with Donald and Rob. And you know what? I can't be mad about it. I want to be, but I can't. Because last offseason, after the Rodon signing, they did nothing. This year, they're executing their decisions very well. It might not be the players we want, but they're staying active. They're adding to the roster in a positive way with good intentions. We're not just, I can't, I want to be mad because of who it is and his attitude towards social media, but I have nothing bad to say about it. I think, especially it's under 20 million a year. It's 18 and a half. They were able to squeeze in the team option for the third year. It is what it is. You know what? It's the rotation's stronger than it was last year. The lineup is stronger than it was last year. Yankee fans, I really feel we have nothing structurally to be pissed off about. Maybe the attitudes of the players, perhaps we'll see. He's been a lifelong Yankee fan, Marcus Strowman. He's been a lifelong Yankee fan who is finally on the team that he has admired his whole life. This might be that pivot for him where he just ups his game. But he better bring it. Guys, what's your reaction?
Me and Donald were talking about this quickly before we went on. And, we both didn't want the guy. Like, he wasn't our first choice, second choice, maybe even third choice. But I don't feel there's any reason to be mad about this, because we got a pitcher in a market that we desperately needed one, first of all, because we didn't have a fifth starter. As much as I like the Luke Weaver signing, because he was low cost, no risk, really, he was our number 5 guy up until like 9 p.m. last night. So I'm fine with it. He got less than Giolito. He got a little bit more than Montas and those. What's the other? Manaya. So I think it's a good deal for a solid pitcher. You're going to look at his ERA last year and be like, oh, man, that's not very good. But when you look at what he was before he got a rib fracture, that's what his injury was last year, a cartilage fracture in his ribs. That just sounds painful, right? He was an all-star pitcher. He was an all-star last year. So this guy was one of the best pitchers in the NL before that injury. So luckily it wasn't nothing with the arm. That makes you feel a lot better about giving him $18 million. And if he's pitching anything like that first half, he's our number 3 guy. That's a number 3 starter in a market where we really needed one. You can say it was the Yankees acting out of desperation. I get that, but we're better today, this morning, than we were Wednesday when we were talking about the rotation. So I'm going to try to look at this from a very positive light. I know people don't like the guy. Most of the people are probably blocked by him anyway, but if the worst thing we have to worry about is Twitter from a few years ago, I can get over Twitter. I can get over a Twitter outrage. He clearly wants to be a Yankee. He's got the bulldog mentality we always talk about wanting from players. He wants to be here. And look, I think Pete was saying it. He's got a set of balls on him. If he did all that and now he wants to be here, that takes a pretty big set of balls to go ahead and be like, I want to jump into the fire. So, hey, now he's got to go do it. We'll support you. Yankee fans will support you. If you go out there and you shove and you win, we're going to support you. That's just how it is. But if you struggle, they're going to let you hear about it. So we'll see. I don't mind the move at all. I think it's a fine move.
Well, that's why I said he's got to bring it. But Donald, give us your thought.
Okay, well, my thought is excellent complimentary piece. If this is a complimentary deal, then I'm perfectly happy with it. It's team friendly. $18.5 million a year is excellent business. Now, the reason why it's so cheap is partly because of his off-field persona carrying into the business side. There's a lot of teams that don't want to jump into bed with this guy. They just don't. And that's why his price was down, and that's why he was desperate as the Yankees were. Quoting Joel Sherman, it's just kind of like both sides were kind of desperate, and they found a marriage out of it. Now, In my experience, when you deal desperate, doesn't tend to work. But if you're just looking at it in a pure like baseball sense, taking away the off-field stuff, taking away the X stuff / Twitter, taking away his weird off-field behavior, which is really weird, right? Taking all that stuff aside, looking at it, a guy who was an all-star caliber pitcher, right? Mid-rotation stuff. Definitely has the moxie to handle the Yankee Stadium mound. You look at all that stuff, the talent is there, consistently below 4 ERA, which is pretty darn good. So he's been pretty much successful wherever he's gone. And you get him for that price, that's good business. It is good business. I really think so. I mean, 2 years, $37 million. I mean, even worst case scenario, it doesn't work out. It's very easy for the Yankees to get out of it, right? So that's good business. You look at the money that's being thrown around. It's even better business. You know, they basically got Gio. They managed to get him and Luke Weaver for less than it would cost Giolito. And Giolito was probably worse than both, in my opinion. So I think it's pretty darn good business, and I think Cashman should be pretty happy with that. But what I will say is, as a complimentary piece, fine, no problem, no issue, excellent. If that is our only rotation piece, then I will be kind of pissed, because that means we balked at the Blake Snell price, which we'll get into in a bit. We balked at that and then went for Strowman instead. I don't like the way that our rotation is made up of a lot of ground ball, kind of very mid kind of arms, apart from Garrett Cole and an injured Rodon. After that, it's a lot of mid arms, a lot of contact, and a lot of like low velo fastballs and no swing and miss stuff. That's what worries me. That's what worries me a lot. As to make up 3/5 of our rotation, that concerns me a lot. But anyway, back to the positive. Solid deal.
No, it is. I want to take a couple different angles at this. But before we do, if you're enjoying this discussion, you're enjoying the angle that we're looking at it, hit that like button. If you haven't already, hit that sub button. Share this video out, and let's keep this community and this family growing. But let's look. I want to look at it through this way. And I was sitting this morning, right, and I've had a very wild week. Some of you know, some of you don't. It is what it is. Like, we have had players on our roster that have done a far lot worse than blocking people on Twitter and running their mouth. But when that uniform is on, hey, if they're gonna help us win, we cheer when they do well. Why are we putting Strowman in his own bracket? Is it because of the strength of social media and the power of social media that we think that because that's the avenue that he decided to be an ass, that he's just, no, we don't need that. But let's think real quick. Right? Herman, when he was pitching well, we shouted him out.
Yeah.
We gave him credit for it. Although we despise looking at the guy.
Perfect game. We cheered him.
Yeah, exactly. Chapman, he had his moment, his issues off the field. When he was playing well, we cheered him. Strowman's got to, but that's why I keep saying, the first thing I said was he better bring it. and I think he will. I think with this pitching staff, with a co-captain on the pitching end like Garrett Cole, I actually expect his numbers to improve this year. To what Donald was saying, because he does not have the best numbers at Yankee Stadium, but a lot of pitchers don't.
Yeah, and again, they're
So
playing the
you can't
Yankees.
exactly. He's not worrying about facing, the guy. The roster. Not that we've had the strongest roster, but there's still in a very there is an intimidation factor when you pitch in Yankee Stadium as an opponent. Players will tell you, look, it's way different being on this side of the infield, sitting in the home dugout, than sitting in the away dugout, because no fan base, and Brandon Tierney said this yesterday on his morning show, no fan base will pump you up like a Yankee fan sitting in the stands. But at the same time, if you screw up, no fan base will tear you apart like a Yankee fan base. So if he starts off well, he's going to be fine. And it's also what have fans? What have we been saying? We need pitching. We need the depth. There are still question marks with the health of Cortez. There's still questions, with the health of Rodon. So, yeah, they added a few small pieces. Luke Weaver was one of them that came out, that was done. Now we have Strowman, who is a good 3. We wanted a 2 behind. We wanted somebody between Cole and Rodon. But having Cole, Rodon, Strowman, that's not a bad 3-punch either. And it did come out that they did make an offer for Snell. I didn't see any details on it of what the offer was. I don't think that got leaked. But supposedly they did reach out to Snell. They did come out?
Yeah. It was $30 million.
I've been juggling a lot this week. Fill me in, Donald.
Well, it was about $30 million a year we offered Blake Snell.
I'm good with that.
Over 5 years, I think, is our max. And Blake Snell is wanting something in the range of like 6 or 7 years.
He wanted 7 for 200.
Yeah, 7 for 200. The Yankees were like 5 150. So that's, but this is where I have an issue. We're hearing some reports saying that that's like too much for the Yankees, and that's a massive gap that they seem unlikely to resolve. It doesn't seem that big a gap to me, man. Well, you can't just go if you're offering them 5. What's the difference between 5 and 6? I mean, you're not at that point. It's not about the back end of the contract anymore. You're getting them for the front end of the contract. Which do you think anyone really thinks that Yamamoto is going to be good in year 10, or Ohtani is going to be a pitcher in year 10? No, you're getting them for the front end of the contract. Do you think we were overly worried about Garrett Cole's 9th year? I don't think so. It's for the front end. This is for the business end right now. This is the business end. This is the go all out and get him. And in order to get quality freaking arms, in order to help Garrett Cole and Aaron Judge and Juan Soto. That's what it's all about. So if you start, honestly, if we start just being like, oh, no, I'm sticking at 5, can't go 6. Give me a break. It's Blake frickin' Snell, Cy Young winner. Come on.
Well, let's pull up this comment here from Cy Langley. Welcome to the Pinstripe Chronicles. Hope you're enjoying the show. Let's all welcome him into the family. Snell will sign with less AAV than Cole, obviously. 5-6 years, plenty. We also have another new comment that just came in. Brandon, welcome.
What up, Brandon?
Enjoying all the new names. Ted Williams was great into his 40s. It's hard to tell how contracts will age.
It was a long time ago.
I mean, that was a long time. And look, Ted Williams is probably
I
one of the
agree with 27.
the
years.
best
Sign
contact in around.
Snell and Hicks. Let's go get World Series 27.
Yeah. But to size comment here, yeah, I think it's going to be. I don't go 7. I'd rather pay more per year for less. I'd rather pay more AAV with less years than a lower AAV with more years. That's just how I feel, especially that he's over the 30 threshold. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Yeah, because that's what they offered him, 5 for 150. That was my first thought. I said give him 5 150. You got to wonder if they want an opt out, and maybe Snell doesn't want one because he might want this to be his last. I think it might be his only big free agent contract because he's going to be 38 by the time this thing ends. If he gets 7, that's probably it for him. So does he want to re-enter the market at age 34, 35? Does he want to do that? That's a question you have to ask. So I wonder if the Yankees wanted an opt-out and he didn't. So if that's the case, yeah, he'll take less AAV, but the Yankees may not want to go 7. That's the kind of the dilemma you face yourself with. It's easy for us to be like, just do it. But you wonder, the Yankees have questions about how his stuff is going to progress in next year, the year after. He might be really good. He might not be really good. You don't know. And that's the risk you take with every pitcher, every free agent signing. But I feel like they wanted an opt-out maybe after the first few years, and he might not want that. Maybe the opt-out comes later. Maybe they wanted a team. He wanted a player. Who knows what's going on? This is Scott Boras we're talking about, so anything could happen. So until we find out more details, and hey, Joel Sherman kind of linked. He kind of kept the hope alive a little bit that if Snell's price drops, it's possible the Yankees could still go after him because right now his asking price is 7 for 200. But if it goes down to maybe he wants 5 years, the Yankees could pounce. I can certainly see that happening, but until we know more about it, I think we just kind of have to wait and see when it comes to Snell. But I don't think it's I think it had to have been the years. It was the same thing with Yamamoto. It was like they gave him 10, which is a fair offer, but the Dodgers gave him 12. It's like 2 years can make a lot of difference for some teams, especially when you talk about a guy on the other side of 30. So I don't blame them for not going 7, but the fact that they were willing to give him 30 a year, that tells you they're willing to keep spending. So maybe they got another 12 million they can go ahead and spend, or another 10 million they can go ahead and spend right now. If they're willing to give Strowman 30, or I'm sorry, Snell 30, they gave Strowman 18.5, they gave Weaver 2.5. You got like what, 9 million to play with now? That leaves the opportunity open for Jordan Hicks and another like low cost starting pitcher. Like Luzardo could potentially fit into that category. Edward Cabrera can fit into that category. Bryce Miller from Seattle, Brian Wu from Seattle. Those guys can fit into that category. So they have money to play with now, and you could still go add another starter. I think that's maybe why they went and pivoted so quickly, because it was like Heyman put out the tweet, they made him an offer, and then like 3 hours later they signed Strowman. So you wonder if Snell's just like, I'm not signing for 5 years. Until we find out. Maybe San Francisco does have this crazy offer for him. We talked about this the other day. They could be like, hey, well, we'll give you 7 because they're so desperate for his stars. We don't know yet. So if that's the case, you got Strowman now. Now let's go make another move. Let's go get another starting pitcher. And I'd be perfectly fine with that. As much as I wanted Blake Snell, we could have done a lot worse than Strowman and hopefully a trade for another guy. I'm still holding out that slim hope that we can get Cabrera, but maybe Luzardo is on the table. Maybe he is. He's only making $5 million this year. That's a steal for a pitcher of his caliber.
Well, it was also mentioned that Cashman is still inquiring about Dylan Cease. You said, a lot of reports have been coming out, but what the Strowman contract tells me, and it answered a question that we were talking about on the last show, was the cost of the pitching. It's almost like Strowman wanting to be a Yankee so bad he would take less than what he thought he could get. Might actually level off the asking prices from these pitches.
Well, he opted out.
It might have come back down to reality because you notice everything went quiet. Nobody was getting signed. And now with Strowman making this deal, it could level off the playing field where now negotiations are more reasonable.
Well, that's it. I mean, he opted out of a deal worth $21.5 million with the Cubs. He opted out of that, and he accepted less to come to the Yankees. That kind of says a lot.
And this is a great comment from Brandon. Was first things first, Rodon's got to step it up, or else whatever we did doesn't matter. And that's true. That's true. That's a great comment. Because it all does, everything revolves around Rodon. Was last year just because he just wasn't able to maintain his health enough to be effective? Or is he just going to be this generation's Bravano? That's this year is going to determine or define what he is as a Yankee. We all know that. We've all mentioned that. But it is still one of the top points when we're talking about this rotation and the effectiveness of it. Because you need depth out of your rotation, not just in the amount of pitchers that we have, but the innings that they eat. Because you cannot burn your bullpen up on the All-Star break like they've been doing the last couple of years. That's why we were in this predicament. So, yeah, it all circles around Rodon.
Yeah, he's the key. We've been saying this all offseason. He's the key. And the fucking landscapers are out there again. He's the key to this whole thing. Even with Yamamoto, he would have been the key. I'm going to mute myself before it gets too loud.
No, Donald, what do you think? Like, what's your thoughts with Rodon? Are you still on the same path that this is his year to either be one of the better, the highlights or the lowlights?
Well, as I said before we even signed Strowman, I said that the key to how this rotation is going to be constituted is what they believe Rodon is. If they believe the Rodon is he was just had an injured year, it was just one of those flush it years, but he legitimately is a 1B, then they will sign a mid-rotation arm and some back-end depth and call it good on the rotation, right? However, if they think that if they think that what happened last year isn't just an outlier, then they will probably go in the upper end of the scale. And at the moment, it kind of looks like they're going and trusting that Rodon's their 1B right now. What I question, however, is I'm looking at this rotation, and it's risky, man. There's a lot of risk. After Garrett Cole, there's a whole lot of risk. Rodon, last year was a flush-it year. Hurt most of the time. Third starter, Marcus Strowman, hurt a lot. He doesn't eat innings, and he doesn't miss bats, right? And the stuff that he does on Twitter is absolutely wild. Don't even downplay it. It's some wild stuff, right? So it's certainly going to be an issue because I don't know if the Yankees have the leaders that they had back in the early thousands and the 90s that can sit down with Strowman and say, listen, guy, this ain't going to fly with the Yankees. This stuff that you do with your cell phone ain't flying with the Yankees. This is how we do business here. It's all about winning, and it's all about like behaving yourself, and it's all about one goal. I don't know if the Yankees have that leadership now. We had the Derek Jeters, we had the Paulies, we had the Andy Pettitts and the Roger Clemens and this, that, and the other, the Posadas, and those guys held the locker room together. and even to an extent, Jason Giambi as well. He was one of those leaders as well. We had those kind of leaders that kind of kept things together. We don't have that now, even though Aaron Judge is the captain. He doesn't strike me as a demonstrative like captain like what we had in the past. There's no disrespect to him because he's obviously fucking incredible. But you know, there's more demonstrative leaders. I'm not sure which ones are going to be the ones that are going to sit him down and be like, "This is how we do business here." Certainly don't expect that from Aaron Boone, and that's kind of what I would expect from a manager. So there are going to be some questions here, and it's very real questions, right? So next starter. Who's our fourth starter? Kind of looks like Clark Schmidt.
Well, Schmidt or Cortez. It depends on. I think it's going to depend on how the spring goes.
Schmidt's got a 4.40 ERA last year. Started off really badly. Then Garrett Cole worked on him, and then he pitched great, and then kind of tailed off at the end. Right? That's our fourth starter. Fifth starter, Nestor Cortez. For me, like, I don't see the purpose in having another arm like a Nestor Cortez now that we've signed Strowman. I think we trade Cortez. I like Cortez, but that $4 million that he just signed arbitration, I'd shift that. I would shift that, and it would free up more money for me to go and get another arm in the rotation with a little bit more swing and miss stuff. Because after Rodon, as I said before, there's a whole lot of similar arms, very similar arms, and there's not enough variation. And I think that's going to be an issue. So I would trade Cortez. I did hear that we've explored that possibility. I'm not sure how far along we are, but it's certainly a possibility that Cortez could get moved. And I actually think that's there we go. Brad says it here. Pete announced yesterday the teams were inquiring about Cortez. I would do so. I would do so because I think that's going to be an issue there. And then you got our sixth starter, which would be Luke Weaver, who I've not mentioned yet. I think that's excellent contract, $2 million. This is a guy who, as soon as Garrett Cole worked on his delivery, Garrett Cole's a freaking god, by the way. Like, honestly, what we do Garrett Cole isn't enough, right? Garrett Cole worked on his delivery, and suddenly he was pitching to a 3.30 ERA when, as a starter, he's more like a 6.60 ERA. So Garrett Cole like halved his ERA and doubled his performance value just like that. Also, our pitching coach Matt Blake loves him, swears by him, loves this stuff. So I think that's really good value, $2 million. This is a guy that can do a spot start, or be a sixth starter, long reliever type. I think that's a good deal. So it was good business yesterday. I'm just trying to paint an overall picture here, and there's still a lot of questions.
I think the other question that should be asked is if Rodon had a solid season last year, are they as aggressive in the pitching market as they've been? I don't think so. I think they'd be like, if we just adjust our offense, the pitching will be just fine. There's no need to address that. So I'm kind of glad that Rodon, not that I'm glad that he sucked, or that he was hurt most of the year, but in hindsight, you have to have a little bit of gratitude towards the struggle to push the Yankees to finally address more issues than they needed to. Because they could have just addressed the offense with adding Soto, Grisham, Verdugo, and called it an off season. Well, we've been struggling with offense, so that's what we're going to focus on. I think the struggle from Rodon caused the team to actually evaluate themselves and do a complete overhaul and really make major changes. And we're seeing that. Like I said, we might not like all of the names that are coming over, but we do not see this from the Yankees lately. This is very different, and I'm enjoying it.
No, it makes sense. Look, everything does rely on Rodon, right? If he's great, we got nothing to worry about. If Strowman pitches the way he was first half of last year, we definitely don't have anything to worry about. But there's a reason I still want to go get another starter. Like Donald mentions, Cortez and Strowman are similar in the way in terms of like their velocity. I think Strowman's got better stuff, but he's got more of a mix, and Cortez is going to rely heavily on the angles and the deception, which you can't really do with the pitch clock. So you wonder how that's going to affect him. I still think he deserves another shot as a starter. I don't know if they move him on. If they get another starter, then they might move him. But right now, I don't think you can because he's the only other lefty starter. Now, if they go sign Snell, then you can put Cortez in the market. But for now, I'd hold on to him. But I do like, the guy that gets strikeout stuff and throws hard. That's Edward Cabrera. How many times am I going to mention his name? The guy throws gas. He gets strikeouts. And I really feel like Matt Blake can fix him. And there's a great point about Weaver. Matt Blake got this guy going from like a 6 ERA to like a low 3s with us. And it was a very limited amount of innings, but he looked a lot better as a Yankee than he looked as a Mariner and a Red last year. So considering his numbers last year, I think he's getting paid pretty fairly for arbitration. But I'm not ready to give up on Nestor Cortez. And a lot of this, I think, a lot of people are starting to sour on him because of political views. I could not care less. I truly don't give a shit who you vote for. It's all bullshit anyway. So, if that's what people are going to use against him, then you're in the wrong sport. You're in the wrong fandom here if you really think you're gonna try to sway me on somebody because of his political views. But yeah, let's just see what happens though, because I still think they got moves to make because they got to clear 2 spots. Now, do they DFA 2 players? Matt Crook can kick rocks for all I care. So can Nick Ramirez, but they are your only other 2 lefties on your 40 man. So you got to wonder about that. With Nick Ramirez, as I think Dane put it, is like the human white flag. When you put him in the game's over, right? And Matt Crook might have been the worst pitcher you've ever seen last year, and he only pitched like 4 games, but he was terrible. But you still need lefty depth. Jeter Downs could potentially get DFA'd. They do that all the time. They claim a guy, then DFA him to clear space. But this is a time to move some pieces. We have 5 catchers. We have several outfielders, and we have several infielders. Now's the time to clear some of that space, and you can still add an arm. If you move like 3 players from your 40-man to get 1 back in a trade, and then you add the other 2, there you go. You've got your 40-man set. You've added 3 starting pitchers technically, and you've cleared some of the clutter that you have in your offense. All of a sudden now we have so much offense when we didn't have it going into the offseason. So there's moves that still need to be made. Are they just DFAs or are they trades? Let's wait and see. NFV and I were talking a little bit yesterday on Twitter about it, that something has to be coming up because you signed Weaver when you still need a clear spot. Now you got Strowman, 2 spots need to be cleared. Are they willing to get rid of 2 pitchers to add 2 pitchers when we're all talking about how much depth we need? As bad as Ramirez and Crook are, it's good to have that lefty depth just in case, because we only have 1 lefty in the bullpen right now. So until we add another one, maybe we bring back Wandy or make another trade for someone from the Marlins. They have several. We kind of have to keep those guys. So do they DFA Jeter Downs and Oscar Gonzalez? Do they trade Pereira in a deal to get another pitcher, something like that? So there's things that can be done. And that's why I'm a little bit excited right now, because I feel like there's something else on the horizon here that the Yankees are going to do, because if they're willing, like I said earlier, if they're willing to give 30 to Snell, you've got about $9 million to play with before they probably stop spending, because we are over 300 now against the tax. 305 according to Fangraphs. It's a lot of freaking money. So they might as well just keep going all out. But if you're willing to spend another 9-10 million, you can add another starter and a bullpen arm and call it an offseason. I think there's a chance for us to do something pretty exciting here.
Right. That's my next question, Rob. That was my next question, Rob. Absolute prediction here. Do we add to the rotation along with Strowman, or is Strowman the main arm?
It might be an equal.
Well,
think
no,
they
what
just
I'm
get
saying is, are we going to add another starter, or is Strowman going to be?
Mhm.
I was thinking about it. It looks like the Brewers aren't going to trade Burns yet. Bieber just signed a very interesting contract that gives him incentives. I wonder if Cleveland's going to say, screw it. That AL Central sucks. They could easily win it, and Bieber would be a big part of it. So maybe they hold on to him till the deadline. Chicago wants Spencer Jones for Dylan Cease, and the Yankees said no. So NFE, you've got your wish. So
I'm
I know
out on that,
NFE.
too. I don't like that.
NFE's been like, no way, and I'm fine with that too. I wouldn't give him up for Dylan Cease, but I don't know who else is available in trade. It's the Marlins guys and it's the Mariners guys, and that's really it. I think they're going to add 1 to 2 bullpen arms, and then they'll try to clear some clutter. Maybe you trade Canely away. Loizaga a guy that you could potentially try to move because they're both on the last years of their deal. Maybe you DFA a couple of guys as well. That might be the most likely route. But I'm still going to try to hold out that last sliver of hope I have that they can go pull a move for Cabrera or Luzardo.
But you think we're out on Snell?
Yeah, I don't think they're paying for Snell at this point. Unless his price comes significantly down, I don't think they're getting Snell.
Yeah, because that $30 million, that'd be my cap. Like that, I don't go over that. I don't want to go. I don't want to go 6-7 years. Not at that age. So I don't think Snell's realistic. But it's. I think it's gonna. I think the rest of the offseason is gonna be turned into the trade market, just because we have a loaded 40-man that we need to start clearing some space. So I think that it's going to be more trade route to this point. And Rob, you've got me hooked on Cabrera. I think they should go all in on that. Maybe they try to make a deal, with Burns off the market. Maybe they go for Williams. Maybe they make a call into Pittsburgh for Bednar. There's still a lot of options they can go. Because they can't. I think at this point, I think it'd be negligent to just keep going free agency without clearing space on the 40-man. There is a lot of dead weight that could be shed, and shaved off. So I think that's the way they're going to go. What's going on, Yankee Kyle? And look, for everybody in the chat, you got 52 people in the building. If you haven't already, smack that like button, subscribe to our channel, share us out. If this is your first time with us, let us know. Just drop a 1 in a comment, so we know this is your first time here, so we could all welcome you in. I know a lot of people will watch, but they don't really put comments. Just drop a quick 1 in there. Let us give you some recognition for joining us today. But I do think there's going to be the trade deadline, the trade market. I think that's the rest of the offseason. Yeah, I don't know what
sign
Cortez
a relief
is.
pitcher, right? Go sign Jordan Hicks. Yesterday it came out. It's us and the Astros that are in on him. Don't let him go to Houston, please.
No.
Go get this guy. I know the Yankees can develop relief pitchers like they have some magic factory in the Bronx or in Tampa because they do it every year. But that's the one guy that you can go spend money on. It shouldn't cost you that much. He's got electric stuff, and the thing that Matt Blake excels at is fixing command, and that's exactly what you need for Jordan Hicks, is to fix that command, that he can be really damn good. Plus, you got to plan for the future. What's up, Al? You got to plan for the future if you don't plan on paying Clay Holmes when he hits free agency. Loizaga is going to hit free agency, so you got to maybe add a guy that can step into that closer role in the next year or two. Jordan Hicks can be that guy, and he probably won't cost you that much. You look at what relief pitchers are getting this year, you could probably get him for maybe like $6 million, something like that. Maybe you go sign Wandy for a few million, and there's the rest of your money to the bullpen, and you can still fit in a Cabrera because he's not making anything. He's making league minimum. So that's why I keep stressing that if you go get one of those pitchers, and it doesn't have to be just him, Bryce Miller fits that mold as well from Seattle, so does Brian Wu, that you're getting these guys that are under like 4 or 5 years of team control before they hit arbitration. You can develop them into something special. So that's the route I think they should take, instead of let's just spend the prospects for Corbin Burns, who might not be available yet. You probably wait till the deadline to see if Burns is available. If you can go get a cheap controllable starter now, go entertain those offers. If not, you're probably rolling into the spring with the starting 5 we have, which, I mean, 4 of those 5 starters have been all-stars in the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's not too bad. It's not the worst thing in the world.
No, I'm all over Jordan Hicks, not Aaron Hicks, Brad. Don't worry. Just because Hicks is his surname doesn't actually mean that he's going to be Aaron Hicks. Jordan Hicks is a badass. He is a badass. I think he'd be excellent. I'm all over that deal. We definitely need to improve the back end of the bullpen. But I'm sorry, I am not going to accept just Marcus Strowman in this rotation. There needs to be another arm. The Marlins make too much sense as a trade destination. They have a surplus of arms, and we have a ton of bats that we could make it work. We have the package already. If we really wanted to, we can make a deal with the Marlins. I have no issue with any of the names that we've been interested in. Zardo, Braxton Garrett, Edward Cabrera, any of those 3, I don't care. That makes too much sense. There is too much sense of a match right there. But I'm refusing to give up on Blake Snell. If you're willing to go 5 years, 150 for Blake Snell, why the hell would you not go 6 years, 180? That's it. So if we let Blake Snell go elsewhere, and all it cost the other team was that extra year, I'd be pissed. I'd be very pissed. And this will be a very different podcast if Blake Snell goes elsewhere and the Yankees balked at something in the vicinity of what we already offered him. 5 years, 150. Normally, if you make an opening bid, that shouldn't be your final freaking bid. Normally, there should be some wiggle room. So, I mean, it's a strange way of doing business if you offer something like 5 years, 150, which is a lot of money, and then not actually be that invested if he says no. And then be like, actually, you know what? I'm just going to Strowman with it. That just doesn't seem to make sense to me. So if you're willing to go for Blake Snell, there must be something more to this. But if we just literally just passed and went with Strowman, I think that's a big mistake because he's only 31 years old. That's not that bad. And he could be just as good when he's 35, 36. We don't know that. There's a very good chance that he will be. Just do it. Because what we're paying for right now is to go all in. Strowman isn't it, man. That's not enough for this rotation. This rotation needs another quality arm. It absolutely does.
No, it's and everybody, the guys in the chat, and Joan, and they are begging for trouble. They really are. You are going to summon the guy to wake
poking
up
the bear.
Don't be careful what you ask for.
Look, we've gone almost 45 minutes, and I haven't had to rant on him today. Pete got him yesterday on his stream. Pete got him. Yeah, if you go back and watch, I think Pete streamed
catch up
3 times yesterday. There was one in the middle of the afternoon, and who put out one of his many proposals out there, and Pete just laid into him, and it was a great sight to see. I commented on it. I said, I'm glad I'm not the only one that has to do this on a live stream. And I don't know. I had a little, I don't want to keep speaking his name because he will show up.
He's coming. You know it.
Beetlejuice. So he'll show up. We'll see. But yeah, look, you guys, we appreciate all the fun though in the comments. It is a good laugh. We know eventually you'll see his name pop up. But until that happens, let's just keep speculating here, Donald, because I want another starting pitcher as well. But let's just say they don't make a trade with the Marlins, and they go ahead and they they got him yesterday too, but I'll have to check that one out. But if they sign Hicks and re-sign Wandy, and they roll into the spring, okay, we got some of our pitching depth back. Our starting five is technically set. Our bullpen is stacked. Is that the worst thing in the world, or you mean like I'm on the side of like we did strengthen the pitching a lot. I understand wanting another starter, but if the asking price is too high for some of these pitchers on the market, and they walk at that, if Snell signs for like 7,200, I'm not going to be upset the Yankees passed on him. But I'm in agreement with you. If he goes to the Giants for 6,180, I'm gonna be like, you could have done that too. But if he gets like 7 for 210,
no, I'm not saying 7. I'm saying 6.
Right.
I think there's wiggle room there.
No, I think what they have to do is just keep negotiating until he makes a decision, whether it's with your team or somebody else. I don't think that window is closed. Last year, I might have been like, "There's no freaking way, it ain't gonna happen." This year, I have a very different perspective towards the front office. I think that they are still heavily in negotiations with Snell and his camp. I don't think because we signed Strowman that it's over.
Well,
he's still available. What's Nightingale? Nightingale's an ass. He sucks.
Yes.
If Passan said it, if Passan said that, you say, unless Jeff Passan or Jack Curry say anything, I don't buy it. That's just talking points.
Curry did say it, that he doesn't think we're going to be heavily in on Snell. I think he said that yesterday.
But he didn't say we were out on Snell either.
Yeah, but Curry was like, when he talked about Strowman on Hot Stove last night, he's like, oh, there's sincere interest on both sides. And like an hour later, he was a Yankee. So
yes,
I trust Curry. I trust Sherman because Sherman is as close as can be to the Yankees. But I would be shocked, just personally, if they give another big contract out, because you're going to be pushing 350 against the tax. Do the Yankees or 340? Do the Yankees want to do that? I mean, I know it's an all or nothing year, but that's a lot of money. And
the Dodgers are paying $1.2 billion, and
right. But if you look at their luxury tax, they're still less than we are, and that's because they defer everything. So maybe the Yankees take that route. Yeah. Maybe they do that. If you want to get Snell, try to get him to defer some money. I mean, dude, he's going to be 37 by the end of this contract. Might as well keep getting paid. So maybe they go that route just to try to save against the tax a little bit this year. Or maybe you sign him and then you try to move Canely and Nestor. That can free up about, what would that be? About 8 million, 9 million. So you can take a little bit of the pressure off the tax there. That's something they can do. If you get Snell for, let's say, 28 a year and you move about 9 of it and from Nestor and Canely, that could help a little bit.
No, and Lynn, you're right. Brian Hoke is also a very reliable source.
Yeah.
But I don't see him as often as I would see Curry or Passan. So those are the two that are always in front of my mind. But no, Brian Hoke is also an excellent reporter. And
he's a lot better than signing Bauer, Dad. I'll tell you that right now. Better than Bauer.
And cheaper. What's going on?
Maybe not cheaper, but a much less headache. Because here's the difference. Strowman's going to get a Zoom press conference or something, right? And there'll be a joke about it. It'll be like, hi, Rob, for the Pinstripe Chronicles. You had some interesting things to say on Twitter about the Yankees and their fans. What do you got to say to them now that you're wearing pinstripes? And they'll put it on the back burner. You cannot put the Bauer stuff on the back burner. Whether he's innocent or guilty, we don't know. He's still got 2 other cases. They're going to be asking about it all spring, all season. If, God forbid, he has to miss any time during the year for these cases, there's going to be national media attention on that. Nobody's coming from Fox News and CNN to talk about Marcus Stroman's tweets, but they'll be coming to try to get an anonymous quote about Trevor Bauer. I can guarantee you that. It won't be Aaron Judge or Garrett Cole. They're going to go to like, who's someone that we gave a non-roster invitee signing to? Like, they'll go to like Yeri De Los Santos or something and be, hey, so what do you think about Trevor Bauer? And the headline's going to be anonymous Yankee or Bauer causing rift already, ? And it's going to say an anonymous Yankee said, quote, I don't feel good about the signing. And there you go. They're going to, that's how it's going to go with the national media, because they're a bunch of freaking leeches. That's what you do if you sign Trevor Bauer. That's why no one's signing him yet. It's not just the Yankees that are not in on him. What other team in baseball has signed him yet? They're probably going to wait till all those legal proceedings are done. And then if he's in the clear, you'll probably see him get another shot. But right now, that's a big risk. Even if you got him for like $2 million, that's a risk you're taking by bringing him in. Whereas a Strowman, it's just like, all right, it's Twitter, it's social media. Everyone has their moments on Twitter, and you put it on the back burner. You think he's going to get away with that with Cole and Judge? I don't think so. Garrett Cole will set him in his place immediately, and Judge, I think, would too. Judge is like twice the height of Strowman. You think he's going to try to pick a fight with him? I don't think I think he signed up for this knowing what he has to do to get into. I'm sure the Yankees and Strowman sat down and talked. I'm sure Judge is probably one of the first people to reach out to him. He was the first person to reach out to Verdugo, so him and Cole. Those are the co-captains.
Soto, I heard, was the first person to reach out to.
Soto commented on the MLB thing,
Yeah.
like we shuffled together now. That's my tag right now. Soto's in on it. Soto's all in. And people thought this was going to hurt the Soto chances. But Soto doesn't care. And Strowman put on his Instagram, mi hermano. So they're all in it. So, I mean, any clubhouse worries?
I'd like to echo what Dane said on yesterday's stream. He said that's a really good sign in order to keep the prospects of having Soto long-term is the fact that he's already taking a leadership role and he's already welcoming newcomers that he doesn't need to be doing on a one-year deal, but he's already doing it. That's a good sign. If you want to be talking extending Soto, it's a very good sign. So there's some hope there. I can kind of see your point that if they're going to prioritize extending Soto, maybe they don't want another $30 million contract on top of, because they've just signed Soto to a record arbitration deal, $31 million. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, no, I did want to get to that before the end of the show because it is significant with the arbitration day. No, the $31 million. Hey, we knew it was going to be in the 30 range. The fact that it was as low as 31, I'm almost shocked by that. I figured that would have been the low of where things would be. It was a trade they had to make. I'm also glad that they didn't have the negotiations, that they just got it out of the way. There's not going to be any circus about hearings, because somebody wants, the team and the player were in different categories. We went through that with Judge. We've gone through that with other players where they just can't come to an agreement, and then you got to go through all these stupid hearings. It's out of the way. Now they could just continue improving on the offseason without any questions of where the money's coming from or going.
I thought he was going to get 33, 34 maybe. But 31, that's a great number. And it's a good thing that they got it done, because had they let this go to a hearing, it would hurt our chances of bringing him back. But because they said, you're going to break Ohtani's arbitration record, there was no question about that. It was just, what's the number going to be? So that's what Heyman put out there. Like, he's going to break it, but what's the number? That's what they were discussing. And they had till 8 p.m. to do it last night. I think that works in our favor, because now he'll go into the season. If he has a really good year, I think the Yankees, I would love for it to come out that before the year he signs like a big 12-year extension. But maybe you give him like a 12 years. What would it be? They said he wants 500. Give him 12 for 500. Pay him 40-something million a year. I don't care. To make sure this guy's a Yankee for the rest of his career, because I can guarantee you it doesn't matter. Will he play in New York? He's gonna be good in New York. Ain't no question about it. This dude's a superstar. You make sure he's a Yankee for life. You keep him and Judge in the same lineup for the rest of their careers together, and you don't let anyone step in the way of that. Don't let Steve Cohen do it. Don't let those goddamn Dodgers do it. You make sure this guy's a Yankee for life. Yeah, 12 for 500, maybe even give him 40. I'd give him 50 a year. I don't care. This dude is special. He is special. Like 50 a year is going to be
generational talent we're talking about.
He is like he's been getting compared to Ted Williams. Like that's how good he is of a hitter. I don't care about his defense. If you can just be adequate defensively, I'll live with you. I'll live with the 400 on base percentage and the 1,000 OPS if you're not playing
Yeah.
the greatest defense in the world. Dude, get this guy. Make sure he's a Yankee for life.
Oh
Yeah,
no,
we'll
yeah,
figure that part
he
out.
has to be extended. It has to be extended, and I'm liking reading the tea leaves that it looks like he's already kind of buying into this. I would love to extend him sooner rather than later, and it's a huge deal that we didn't take him to a hearing. Great news that we didn't take him to a hearing because guess what, guys? We were about to take Aaron Judge to a hearing. We were about to take him, and he was having. This was during his record year, where he broke every record under the sun, and we were about to take him to a hearing. So I'm hoping that the Yankees have learned their lesson from that, because that was the dumbest work by any front office in the history of front offices, that you would deliberately try and antagonize your only good offensive player at that time, right?
It really doesn't make sense.
You know what I mean? It was ridiculous. The guy was breaking every freaking record. He was like going after Mickey Mantle's record and this, that, and the other. And you're like, yeah, I'm gonna haggle over $1 or $2 million. That was the stupidest thing in the world. I'm so glad that they've learned from that lesson. And not only were they lucky that it didn't cost us Aaron Judge, we managed to extend him, but now we can go and get Juan Soto. Please get him extended. Certainly a good sign that we're not taking him to a hearing. I think he is gonna. I know he's gonna absolutely ball this year. He's gonna ball in a walk year. Holy shit balls! He is gonna go off. He is gonna be teeing off. That the people are gonna need like freaking catcher's helmets in the right field seats, because he's gonna be absolutely mashing, and the left center seats as well. You better have a glove with you, because there's gonna be a lot of balls heading that way. So I think he's gonna absolutely ball out in a walk here, and the Yankees will need to extend him.
I'll tell you, it almost feels like we have a new front office this offseason. This is very, very un-Yankee like, from what we've seen in the Cashman era in the last few years. There's not much to complain about.
No, it's been very good offseason.
They're working within the momentum of the market.
Yeah.
We had that dead period where all we were doing was sit and talk about rumors, but go back to the last 4 years. We do this every off season.
Yep.
It's just rinse and repeat, until things start to change. Like Joe made a comment earlier in the chat, right? Now that the arbitration is over, expect this weekend to have bigger moves. Mm-hmm. Now you're going to start to see some motion, because now teams have more of an idea of where their budgets are.
Yep.
We said it the other day, and like I said, Joe mentioned it again earlier. Now we're going to start to see some motion in the market, whether free agency or trade. So, buckle up, because there's going to be a lot of changes, especially the Yankees. They got to figure out their 40-man.
Yep.
And we have an abundance of players that we can move around. 5
catchers is too much. Trade one.
Exactly.
Trade Narvaez or Wortvet. You don't need 5.
I would send Narvaez along, to see if the Marlins have an interest.
They should, right? He's close to.
I don't know why that. Yeah.
Like,
Narvaez is only a couple years away, maybe 2.
I think he's ready now.
Maybe even sooner.
Yeah, he could be ready this year if he has a good enough spring. Yeah. So I think, look, this has been a great offseason in my opinion. Their biggest need was offense. They got the best player they could have possibly gotten to add to this lineup in Juan Soto. They needed another outfield. They got a really good player in Verdugo that people are forgetting. The dude can hit. He's an extra base hit kind of guy. We needed that. So you got 2 good bats, one outstanding bat and one very solid bat. Compared to what we had last year, Verdugo was miles above those guys. You added a really good depth outfielder in Grisham. Again, you could put him in the game in defensive replacement in the 9th inning or speed guy. That's better than fucking Willie Calhoun. So take that into account. They needed a pitcher. They needed to recoup some depth. So they got Strowman. For now, he's your number 3, could be your number 4, depending on what they do next. You got some depth back with Morris, Poteet, and Weaver. The bullpen's already good, and they can still add to it. This has already been a really good offseason. They did get Victor Gonzalez to technically replace Wandy, but they can always bring Wandy back. It's been a great offseason, and they can still do more. That's the thing. They can still do more. So I'm going to play the wait and see game. We still got another month till the spring, and we know they got to clear 2 spots. So are those DFAs or are there trades coming? So but let's just wait and see. In the next coming days, there could be some, I don't want to say major things happening, but there could be some stuff moving around here. The Yankees could make an even already good offseason even better.
So
go ahead.
The way I view it is I can't complain at all. They've been aggressive within the market. I also give them credit because I think it's fairly clear. Yamamoto was plan A, plan B, and plan C, right? Now, normally,
true,
over the last 10 years, when the Yankees don't get their guy, which hasn't happened very often. Usually, if you go get their guy, then that's always been the case normally. But in the rare occasions that the Yankees don't get their number 1 option, they tend to not have a plan at all, and then just go, oh well, we'll just wait and see till the next trade deadline. What I like is the fact that they're not taking that approach. They lost Yamamoto, which is crushing because that was who they wanted.
We wanted him.
They wanted him. They wanted him bad. That was, I'm telling you. Even Joel Sherman said he was plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? But at least the Yankees didn't give up. The Yankees were like, all right, but we still need an arm. This is how we're going to do it, right? And they went in on Blake Snell. I'm hoping that's not the end because I would love Blake Snell to be a Yankee. I keep saying it. But Strowman is a solid arm. You, as I say, you take away his weird ass behavior. If you just purely look at his numbers, I don't like his baseball savant page, but if you purely look at his numbers, he's going to give you solid innings, and that's what you need for a mid-rotation starter. If you sign him as a mid-rotation starter, you're going to get a very good starter. If you sign him to be a top-end starter, you're not going to get a good starter. So we do need to keep that in mind. But I don't have any complaints. Like, I like the Verdugo deal. We got him for nothing, right? Love the Soto deal. Thank you, Hal, for pushing that. I have no complaints.
Well, thank you, Michael King, for having a great end of the year.
Grisham in there as well is underrated because Jobber Chamberlain, when we interviewed him, loved the Grisham pickup for the Yankees. So don't sleep on Grisham. There are no complaints until I see the bigger picture, and I see the whole canvas at the end of this offseason. Then I will have a better idea. At the moment, it's very, very good, but there is 2 things we need to do. You need one more starter and a closer type, right? That's what we need. If we get that done by the start of February, then I'm giving this offseason a.
Yep. No, I agree 100%. Yeah, like that's why I was saying it's almost like we have a whole new front office. Yeah, that's just the vibe they're giving off. You know, it's the no more fucking around attitude. You know, and a lot of that has to do with Hal being pissed off of missing the postseason.
Yep.
You know, we've been saying it since we've met. Until something drastic happens, the philosophy won't change. Well, here we go. It took years, but you saw for at least in the moment we're seeing that shift. But they still have work to do, which is even more, makes it even more fun. Because this can't one I know we've all been saying this can't be it. This can't be their last move. It's not. They still have so much to do. And I'll close with this. The DFA, that's your last option. Try to trade these guys first. Don't just give them away. Don't just release them. If you could stick them into a trade and clear some space, clear some money, go for it.
Ain't nobody taking Matt
DFA.
Crook.
No.
Who's taking Nick Ramirez in a trade? Like,
Oh,
who's giving?
flag.
Yeah.
No. But they say one man's trash is another man's treasure. We were pissed off when we ended up getting Peralta and Holmes and Voigt going. What the hell? Why are we taking everybody's scraps? Look what they did. So maybe in a new environment they find something. But until they have to make that final cut, I don't DFA anybody. That's just me. I know it doesn't usually work out that way, but that's what I would try to do. I would try to. All right, you need one extra bullpen guy. We'll give you Crook or Ramirez, and that might seal a deal. It's not going to get you like a Devin Williams, but you might be able to find a diamond in the rough that way. So, but
if Nick Ramirez seals a deal, I'm gonna be dancing circles around my room. That guy was so freaking bad.
He sucks.
So, if him or Matt Crook, if those two guys are able to seal a deal, if you're gonna trade them, you're giving them away for international money. Maybe I could see that before you get a player for them. Like the Dodgers had to get rid of one former top prospect and a okay bullpen arm just to clear space yesterday, and they got another spot open. So I don't know what the hell they're up to, but that's another story. But if you can get some international money for these guys, like they did with McKinney, okay, that's fine. Go ahead and do that. If someone is willing to give you 10 cents of international signing money for Nick Ramirez, go ahead and do it. But until then, I think you're looking at maybe trading a catcher, possibly Pereira. And maybe Peraza, depending on what they want to do, or Torres. We don't know. We still don't know about Torres. Brian Hoke still seems to think that they could move him. So we'll see what happens. But there hopefully is going to be some more action the next coming days. It could be for an exciting weekend.
Yeah.
What do you think, Uncle T? Rob, should we give a shout out to some of these people in the chat that we haven't mentioned yet?
Nope. Go for it, bro.
Absolutely jumping. I just want to say a big thank you to y'all. We've had so much to talk about. We haven't had a chance to really look at a lot of your messages, or at least bring them to the screen. We have looked at every one of them. But we've got new guys like Mo Money in here. So, salute to you, William Reap, CWE. In there, we've got Cy from London. That was pretty cool. Thank you for joining us. We got Will Starr in there. We got the usual suspects. We've also got Rand Nintendo 77. Salute to you. Thank you for joining us. Anybody else that's watching, just come and say hello. We got
Uncle
Ivan.
Ted just popped in. What's going on, Uncle Ted?
Hey, we got Ivan in the chat saying hello. And as I say, we got the usual suspects. We got NFE, we got FJ, we got Brad, we got all the dudes. We got Medina, of course. We got Medina. We got Spence, of course. Spence, salute to you. D-Rod, Brad. We got the Upper Deck saying hello. We got Rob's dad. Yeah, amen. Salute to you. Very, very, very cool. See all these new people in the chat as well. So salute to the new people and salute to the usual suspects. Uncle Ted. Hi, Uncle Ted. Big salute to all you guys. Let's go Yankees.
And you mentioned the Upper Deck. Don't forget on to keep an eye on them on Sundays. So if you hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, so you know when all our live shows go up. And you never know when we're going to throw up pop-up videos. Donald gave it, put up, his reaction. Strowman, you guys got to see his reaction first. If you subbed and hit that notification bell. So, but that is going to wrap things up for us. Like I said, hit that like button, hit that sub button, share this out, tell your friends, tell your family, tell a stranger on the corner. And this has been the Pinstripe Chronicles. Hope everybody does enjoy their weekend. We will be doing our show Monday. And we will be having a guest join us. You're just going to have to tune in to find out who that is. So, as we always say, wear your pinstripes, your pride, and play hard.